So my story begins in 2014. 2014 was a really, really great year. I was 8 years into sobriety from crystal meth. I was 8 years into quitting a pack-a-day cigarette habit. I'd run 8 marathons. I'd gotten fit. I was a fitness instructor. I'd become an HIV tester. I was a published author on HIV and STD transmission. I was working in development, producing charity events for an HIV service organization in Chicago. And as someone who'd been positive since 2002, like I felt proud, like, you know, I'd given up drugs. I had purpose. I had a community. Like I had it all. And then at the end of September in 2014, I got let go from my job. And it was something that actually I would come to understand to be a really traumatic event for me. One that at the time I totally just disassociated from and was like, everything's great, everything's fine. It was time to move on anyways. And so 2015 went on and I was applying for jobs, not getting callbacks, and just kind of oblivious to like, you know, the fact that my world was getting darker and darker. In 2016, I relapsed on crystal meth. And I started using, and I wasn't happy right away. Like right away, I was like, okay, this isn't working for me. And I really felt rudderless, and I felt so kind of off kilter when it came to like my career and like what my purpose was. And so I didn't know what the next step was there, but I knew that I felt good when I was working out and when I was fit. So I was like, okay, let's our North Star, which means no crystal, right? Because crystal and, you know, running marathons just don't go well together. Just can't overlap the training and the drug use. It just doesn't work. And so I continued to cut back on my drugs. And then though, the more that I cut down on the drugs, it's reached this point where the bad feelings that the drugs were keeping suppressed started to come to the surface, which were all the feelings around how alone I felt and how, you know, ripped away from my community and that connectedness. And I just felt like I had no purpose, and I started to lose hope. Which for me, I'm the cheerleader, I'm the coach, I'm the one that's always like, come on guys, we can do it, we can do it. And this time was different. I slipped into this dark place like I'd never been in before. And I was suicidal for most of 2017 and 2018. And, you know, the first time I tried to commit suicide, I was 14 years old. And, you know, I ran away from home when I was 16. Like, so I've been around the block with things. But these 2 years were like the hardest of my life, like all wrapped up together. I would still say they were darker. And again, it was feeling ripped away from that community and that love and everything. It was so dark. But nonetheless, I continued to still cut back on my drugs because I knew that was one thing I knew. I was like, this doesn't work. I can't do crystal meth anymore. It just doesn't. So I continued to cut back on my drugs. And then at one point, thankfully, through the miracle of one right choice, I got back on antidepressants. I added some mood stabilizers, and then we doubled the mood stabilizers. And then we kind of hit a good spot. And for the first time in a long time, I was able to keep my head above water, you know, and kind of process through some of these deeply depressing feelings I had around, you know, kind of losing and grieving what was supposed to be, you know, what could have been, like, you know, this job that I had was supposed to be this thing that was big and it was supposed to grow and springboard and da-da-da. And I wasn't supposed to be back here shooting at crystal meth. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was supposed to have moved on and like be making more money and, you know, like, and so I just felt so lost. I felt so lost. And so at the beginning of 2019, even though I was doing less drugs and more lucid and better than I had been in a while, I still felt so kind of like directionless that I allowed myself to become homeless. And so I spent most of 2019 on a friend's couch, thankfully. So, you know, we weren't on the street, but then towards the end of the year, that ended. I started to hop from couch to couch. That ended. And then I found myself shuttling between 24-hour Starbucks and the cafe at Target. And that was no fun. And so, you know, I couldn't really sustain that for a long time. I mean, you know, it was getting cold. I had the dog and, you know, so I reached out to an aunt on Facebook who lived in Florida, and I said, hey, I'm homeless. She's like, all right, hold on. Let me see what I can do. So she reached out to a cousin I'd never met who's a pastor he had a storefront church here on the west side of Chicago. So I reached out to him, and he was like, okay, you can come. And so I went to the church and we met and we talked, and he was like, okay, you can stay here. And I knew in that moment, that was the moment I was like, okay, I don't ever have to use again. You know, like it was the moment I've been working towards, you know, like not using. And it was like, but still in the position of being around people that were using, and, you know, and so it was hard to stop. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, boom, this is it. Now you get to start moving forward. And so I did. I stayed there for almost 2 months. And because I was sober, I was able to reconnect with other people, you know, who I hadn't been in touch with a while, which led to me having another place to stay for a little bit. And then I cobbled together a stay here, a stay there, all the while waiting for some housing to come through through an agency here in Chicago. So um, oh, I guess I left out the best part. So at the end of when I moved into the church, that was when I stopped using crystal. So the last time I used crystal was October 28th of last year. So I'm coming on 1 year of sobriety from that. Since then, I've gotten recertified to teach spin. I signed up for a social entrepreneurship and social enterprise class at a local university. I lost 30 pounds. And I am so grateful and excited to say that a week and a half ago, I moved into my own apartment, which some help through an agency here in the city. And so I'm set and I'm safe and I'm not doing crystal meth. And, you know, I'll tell you, like, what I'm here is, I guess the message is hope. You know, I speak from things I know, and until this last go around, like with this dark time, like I had never lost hope before. You know, I was always that one that was like, come on, we can do it, guys. And so I still think that. I'm like, here, we can still do it. But I've been there. Like, I've lost hope. I know when it feels like nothing is going to ever get better. And I know that so many of us are feeling like that right now, but it will get better. It does get better. And the darkest is always before the dawn, you know? And we just have to have faith and we have to believe. And so I'm here to say it does get better. So thank you.